The healing hall of the Iron Ridge Pack reeked of failure. Kira stood at the back, her walking stick tapping softly against stone. She didn't need eyes to know something terrible was unfolding. The whispers told her everything. He's dying. The Alpha, strongest warrior in 3 territories, brought down by silver poisoning. No healer can save him now. Kira's fingers tightened around her cane. She'd been summoned here with every other healer in the territory, though she suspected her invitation had been mere formality. What use was a blind Omega? "Make way for healer Osric," a commanding voice boomed. The crowd shifted. Someone jostled Kira's shoulder without apology. "Careful," a young female voice whispered. Thalia, one of the few who bothered being kind. "Support pillar 2 steps left." "Thank you," Kira murmured. Through the murmurs, she heard heavy footsteps approaching the center. The crowd fell silent. "Silver poisoning, advanced stage," Osric announced gravely. "The toxin has spread through his lymphatic system. There's nothing to be done." "Try anyway," another voice commanded. Cold, female, authoritative. Beta Saskia, temporary leader while their alpha lay dying. What followed painted a clear picture. The clink of glass vials, liquid being poured, a blade scraping stone, and beneath it all, the shallow, rattling breaths of a dying man. Minutes passed. Then, "It's no use. The silver has crystallized in his bloodstream. Every extraction attempt causes more damage. He needs magic beyond my skill." "Then summon Healer Vex," Saskia snapped. More waiting. Kira felt hope draining from the room like water through cupped hands, but something pulled at her chest, a strange, insistent tugging that made her heart race. Healer Vex arrived with ceremony, his robes swishing. Kira smelled the peculiar ozone scent of pack magic being worked. The air thickened. Then, an explosion of sound. Glass shattering. Vex cursing. The Alpha's body seizing, his back cracking audibly. "Fool!" Vex snarled. "The silver is bonded to his life force. Extract one, extract both. He's beyond saving." "There must be something," Saskia's voice cracked. "Acceptance. Make him comfortable. He has hours, perhaps less." The healer's footsteps retreated. One by one, others followed. Kira stayed pressed against her pillar, forgotten, her heart hammering. The tugging sensation intensified, becoming almost painful. She'd felt this only once before, years ago, when she'd saved a drowning child by somehow sensing exactly where the girl was beneath the river's surface. Her mother had warned her never to speak of it. "They'll call you witch," her mother had whispered. But this felt stronger, as if invisible threads connected her to the dying Alpha, pulling her forward. "We should prepare succession rites," Saskia said quietly. "Notify the council." Zephyr had no mate, no heir. "He's not dead yet," a male voice interrupted, younger, anguished. "He's as good as dead, Kane." Kira's hand flew to her chest. The pull had become unbearable, like a hook lodged beneath her sternum. "Someone's still here," Saskia said sharply. "Who's there?" Kira's feet moved without conscious thought. Her hands stretched out, mapping the space. 3 steps. 5. She felt the gathered wolves' heat, smelled their confusion. "Kira?" Thalia's surprised voice. "What are you—" "Let me try." The words escaped before Kira could stop them. Silence. Then bitter laughter. "The blind Omega?" Saskia's tone dripped disdain. "You can barely navigate your own cottage." "Please." Kira's voice came out stronger than she felt. "Something is telling me I can help." "You feel it?" Saskia scoffed. "Osric and Vex both failed. But you think—" "Let her try." Kane's voice cut through. "What harm can it do? You said he's dying anyway." Tense pause. Then Saskia exhaled sharply. Fine. 5 minutes. Hands, Thalia's, gentle, led Kira forward. 3 steps up. The alpha is directly in front of you, lying on his back. Kira climbed carefully. The heat hit her first. Fever, burning through him. Then the smell. Blood, infection, and something metallic that made her teeth ache. Silver. She reached out slowly. Her fingertips made contact with bare skin, his arm corded with muscle. The heat was shocking, but the texture made her breath catch. His skin felt wrong, too tight. Kira's hands traveled to his shoulder, his neck, feeling for pulse. There. Weak. Irregular, but present. What do you think you're doing? Saskia demanded. Quiet, Kira whispered, and the beta fell silent. Kira's world had always been textures, temperatures, vibrations. She'd learned to read people through subtle cues. But this was different. As her hands moved across the alpha's chest, she felt something beyond physical. Energy, life force, and woven through it, she sensed the silver, cold, corrupted threads wrapped around his very essence. Her mother had called it the gift of seeing without eyes. Kira had spent years suppressing it, terrified of being labeled dangerous. But now, with this stranger's life fading beneath her hands, she let the gift rise. The silver wasn't just in his bloodstream. It had bonded to his spirit, his wolf, tangling around the core of who he was. That's why extraction had failed. You couldn't cut away the poison without cutting away the man. But what if you could unravel it? Kira's breathing deepened as she focused, her consciousness diving beneath skin and muscle, following cold silver threads to where they'd anchored. She could feel the alpha's wolf, enormous, fierce, trapped and howling its rage. Her hands are glowing, someone whispered. Look at his breathing. It's changing. Kira barely heard them. All her attention focused on loosening the silver's grip. Not ripping it away, but gently, infinitely slowly, convincing it to release. Like untangling embroidery thread, sweat beaded on her forehead. Her muscles trembled. The silver resisted, clinging like a parasite. But Kira persisted. Slowly, so slowly, she felt it begin to give way. One thread loosened, then another. The alpha's body convulsed beneath her hands. Kira gasped. Strong hands gripped her shoulders, Kane steadying her. Don't stop, he urged. The black veins on his skin are fading. Kira pushed deeper, working faster. The silver fought back, sending tendrils of cold through her own arms. She gritted her teeth. Almost there. The final thread released with an almost audible snap. The alpha's back arched off the table with such force that Kane had to hold him down. A roar tore from his throat, not pain, but fury and life and savage joy. His eyes flashed open, blazing gold. Those golden eyes locked onto Kira's face. She couldn't see them, but she felt their weight, their intensity. Heat flooded through her. Not fever, but something primal and terrifying and absolutely inevitable. The alpha's hand shot up, fingers wrapping around her wrist with surprising gentleness. He pulled her closer, his nose nearly touching hers, and inhaled deeply. Mate, he growled, barely recognizable through the wolf in his voice. Mine. The hall erupted into chaos. Kira's world tilted, her body suddenly weak. She'd done it. Saved him. But at what cost? The alpha's grip on her wrist tightened possessively. Even exhausted, Kira felt the undeniable pull between them intensify into something that terrified her. Impossible, Saskia breathed. She's his fated mate? The blind Omega, someone else whispered. Release her, Zephyr. Saskia's voice turned hard. You're in no condition. Mine, Zephyr repeated, possessive fury in his tone. This is insane. We need to discuss. But Zephyr wasn't listening. His thumb traced circles on Kira's wrist, right where her pulse hammered. Then, with visible effort, he released her. Take her home, he commanded, voice rough but growing stronger. Guard her. No one touches her. She's under my protection. Kira stumbled backward. Thalia caught her before she fell. What have I done? Kira whispered as Thalia guided her toward the exit. Behind them, Saskia's cold voice. Indeed. What have you done, little Omega? Saved our Alpha, yes, but bound yourself to him in the process. The implications crashed over Kira as they reached the steps. She'd saved his life, exposed abilities she'd kept hidden for years, but she'd also awakened something between them that could never be undone. As they reached the exit, Kira heard one final sound, Zephyr's voice, still rough but absolute, calling after her. One word that sealed her fate. Mine. Kira's cottage had never felt smaller. She could hear boots scuffing outside, pack guards that had followed them from the healing hall, now stationed at her door on the Alpha's orders, their low voices discussing unprecedented events. Never seen the Alpha claim an Omega on sight. A blind Omega. What use is she? Thalia's grip on Kira's arm tightened. Ignore them, she whispered, guiding her friend to the small bed in the corner. You need rest. Kira sank onto the mattress, trembling. I don't understand what happened. Your hands were glowing. Pure, white light. And when you touched him, the silver poison evaporated. Thalia sat beside her. But most are focused on the other thing. What other thing? The mate bond. The Alpha called you his mate in front of everyone. That can't be taken back. Kira's hands twisted in her lap. But I don't even know him. How can we be? A wave of dizziness cut off her words. The room spun. Kira gripped the mattress, gasping. What's wrong? Thalia's hand steadied her shoulders. I feel strange. Hot, but not feverish. There's this pulling sensation in my chest. It started at the healing hall, but now it's worse. That's the mate bond, Thalia said softly. You saved his life, and he recognized you as his fated mate. The bond has started forming. That's not possible. Mate bonds require both parties to accept. Not with true fated mates. When wolves recognize each other, the bond begins immediately. Kira wanted to deny it, but she had felt something, recognition that went deeper than conscious thought. I need water, Kira said, pushing herself to stand. Her legs wobbled. I'll get it. A commotion outside cut her off. Heavy footsteps, raised voices. Then the door opened. Alpha, one guard said respectfully. Are you certain you should be? I need to speak with her. The voice was deep, rough with lingering fever. Please wait outside. Kira's heart hammered as she sensed his presence filling her cottage. He was enormous. She could tell by how air displaced around him, by heat radiating from his body. He still moved carefully, as if testing his body's limits, but the silver poison was gone. Her healing had been thorough, perhaps too thorough. You shouldn't be out of bed, Thalia said, her voice wavering. The silver poisoning nearly killed you. Please, Zephyr said, his tone softening slightly. I need to speak with her. Alone. Thalia squeezed Kira's hand once before retreating. The door closed softly. Silence stretched between them. Kira remained standing, hands clenched at her sides, acutely aware of every breath he took. Sit. His voice softened. Before you fall down. I'm fine, Kira lied, even as dizziness made her sway. In an instant, his hands were on her, one at her elbow, one at her waist, steadying her with surprising gentleness. The contact sent electricity racing through her veins. Kira gasped at the intensity. "You're not fine," he said, guiding her back to the bed. "You gave too much of yourself healing me. I can feel it. Your energy is depleted." "How can you feel that?" "The bond." He knelt before her, putting them at eye level. "It's already forming. I can sense your exhaustion, your fear. And you can sense me too, can't you?" Kira's breath hitched. He was right. Beneath her own emotions, she could feel something else. A presence that wasn't her own. Strength, barely leashed. Relief, profound and overwhelming. And underneath, a fierce possessive need that terrified her. "I don't want this," she said, hating how her voice shook. "I didn't ask for a mate bond." "Neither did I." His hand came up slowly, telegraphing the movement before his fingers gently touched her cheek. "But the wolves don't ask permission. They recognize, and they claim." His thumb traced along her jawline. Kira fought the urge to lean into the touch. "Why me? I'm nobody. Just a blind Omega. The pack tolerates. You saved my life when the greatest healers in 3 territories failed." His voice held wonder. "You have power I've never seen before. And when I opened my eyes and caught your scent..." He inhaled deeply, his nose nearly brushing her temple. "Everything in me knew. You're mine." The possessive declaration should have angered her. Instead, it sent heat pooling in her belly. Kira's hands gripped the mattress edge. "I need to know what happened," she said, trying to ground herself. "The silver poisoning. How did you get it?" His hand dropped from her face. "Ambush. 3 nights ago. Northern border. Silver-tipped arrows, coated with something alchemical. By the time I shifted back and made it home, the poison had spread." "Who would do such a thing?" "Enemies." His voice hardened. "Our pack controls valuable territory. There are those who would see me dead and the pack weakened." Kira processed this. "Then I've put a target on my own back. If they wanted you dead before, now they'll want your mate dead too." "Yes." He didn't soften the truth. "Which is why you need protection. Why I stationed guards. Why..." He paused. "Why I should leave you to recover, but I can't seem to make myself walk away." "The bond," Kira said softly. "The bond," he agreed. "It's stronger than I expected." Kira felt it too, that magnetic pull drawing them together. "What happens now?" she asked. Before he could answer, his body went rigid. A low growl rumbled in his chest. She felt him shift position, moving protectively between her and the door. "Someone's coming," he said, voice dropping to that dangerous rumble. Multiple someones. The door burst open. "Alpha Zephyr." Saskia's cold voice cut through the tension. "Step away from the Omega." "The council has been convened. There are concerns about what happened today. About the Omega's abilities, and whether they pose a threat to pack security." Kira's blood turned to ice. "Threat? I saved his life." "You displayed powers no Omega should possess," Saskia countered. "Powers you've apparently been hiding. That raises questions." "She hides nothing," Zephyr snarled, "and she's under my protection. Anyone who threatens her threatens me." "Which is precisely the problem," Saskia said. "You've been compromised, Alpha. Bonded to an Omega whose abilities we don't understand. The council demands she be brought in for questioning." "No." Zephyr's refusal was absolute. "Then you force our hand." Saskia's voice dropped. "The pack's safety comes first." Kira heard movement, multiple bodies entering her cottage, surrounding them. Zephyr's growl intensified. "Don't," Kira said, her hand finding his arm. "Don't fight them. I'll go answer their questions." "Like hell. If you fight the council for me now, they'll never accept me," Kira interrupted. Let me prove I'm not a threat. Please. She felt his internal struggle through the bond, protective instincts warring with logic. Finally, with visible effort, he stepped aside. I'm coming with you, he said. You're still recovering. I'm coming with you. Each word was bitten off. Non-negotiable. As hands gripped Kira's arms and began guiding her toward the door, she felt the bond between them pulse with shared determination and fear. She'd saved the Alpha's life. Now she had to save her own. The council chamber smelled of old wood and older authority. Kira was led to a chair in what she sensed was the center of a large room. Stone walls. She could tell by how sound echoed. High ceilings. And all around her, pack leadership's attention focused like wolves circling wounded prey. Remove her bindings, Zephyr commanded from somewhere to her right. The bindings stay, Saskia replied, until we know what we're dealing with. Kira's wrists were tied behind her back with silver-threaded rope. Not pure silver, but enough to suppress supernatural abilities. Her hands had gone numb. State your full name for the council, an elderly male voice commanded. Kira Ashenheart, daughter of Mara and Torin Ashenheart, both deceased. And your rank within the pack? Omega. Unaffiliated. Unaffiliated, Saskia repeated. Yet today you accomplished what our most skilled healers could not. Explain. Kira swallowed hard. I don't fully understand it myself. I've always been able to sense things others can't. Temperatures, energies, the flow of life in living things. My mother called it compensation for my blindness. And you use these senses to heal the Alpha? Yes. I could feel the silver poison wrapped around his life force. I convinced it to release its hold. Convinced it? The elderly voice sounded skeptical. Silver is metal, not sentient. I know how it sounds, but that's what I did. I didn't cut it away or burn it out. I unraveled it, like untangling knotted thread. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The scratch of quills on parchment. Have you used these abilities before? Saskia asked. Kira hesitated. Small things. I once saved a child from drowning by sensing where she was under the water. I can sometimes tell when herbs are spoiled, but nothing like today. Why not? Because my mother warned me to hide what I could do. She said people fear what they don't understand. Wise woman, the elderly voice commented. What you describe sounds like old magic. Witch magic. The word fell into the chamber like a stone. Witch. The most dangerous label a werewolf could carry. I'm not a witch, Kira protested. I'm a wolf, born of wolf parents. Your mother was found as a child, Saskia interrupted. Adopted by the Ashenheart family, but her origins were never clear. My mother was pack. Kira's voice rose. She lived and died as one of us. We have every right to question, Saskia snapped, especially now that you've bound yourself to our Alpha. She's not a threat. Zephyr's voice cut through the argument. She saved my life. That should be proof enough. Or proof of manipulation, Saskia countered. What better way to infiltrate pack leadership than to save the Alpha and trigger a mate bond? You think I'd poison myself nearly to death just to get close to him? Kira couldn't keep disbelief from her voice. The timing is remarkably convenient. That's not possible, the elderly voice interjected. Mate bonds cannot be artificially created. Not by wolf magic, Saskia agreed, but witch magic operates by different rules. Kira felt Zephyr move closer, his presence a wall of barely controlled fury. Enough, he growled. You're inventing conspiracies. I'm protecting this pack. Then let's test her. A new voice, male, younger, curious. We have wounded warriors from northern border skirmishes, minor injuries resistant to normal healing. If Kira can heal them, we'll have proof. And if she can't? Kira asked quietly. Silence answered her question. Fine, she said. I'll take your test. But when I prove myself, this interrogation ends. Agreed, the younger voice said. Kane, by the way. Second beta. Bring in the first test subject, Kane ordered. Footsteps. A door opening. The scent of infection filled Kira's nose. This is Matthias, Kane explained. Slashed across the shoulder 3 days ago. The wound won't heal. Our healers suspect the blade was cursed. Someone cut Kira's bindings. She gasped as feeling rushed back into her numb hands. Kira flexed her fingers, feeling sensation and power slowly returning. Well? Saskia's voice held challenge. Heal him. Kira stood on shaky legs, reaching out until her fingers found the warrior's shoulder. He flinched but held still. Beneath the physical wound she felt the curse. Dark magic meant to cause prolonged suffering. Kira closed her eyes. Unnecessary, but it helped her concentrate, and reached for that place inside where her power lived. It came easier this time. White light flowed through her hands, gasps around the chamber. The curse fought her, clinging like tar. But Kira was stronger now. She pulled at the dark magic, unraveling it strand by strand, then encouraged the warrior's own healing to accelerate. Within minutes, the wound had closed to a pink scar. Matthias rotated his shoulder experimentally, surprise evident. It's healed. Completely. Next, Kira said. They brought 4 more warriors. A broken leg that wouldn't set properly, deep lacerations infected despite treatment, a concussion causing blinding headaches, a punctured lung slowly drowning its victim. Kira healed them all. By the time she finished the 5th warrior, exhaustion dragged at her like chains. Her legs gave out, and she collapsed back into the chair. But she'd done it. Proven herself. Satisfied? Zephyr asked, his hands suddenly on her shoulders, steadying her. The council chamber buzzed with whispered conversations. Finally, the elderly voice spoke. Her abilities are genuine. Whether they're witch magic or wolf healing mutation, I cannot say, but she's proven her loyalty. She's proven she can heal, Saskia corrected. That doesn't mean she isn't dangerous. Enough, Saskia. Kane's voice held finality. You've been outvoted. The council recognizes Kira Ashenheart as Alpha Zephyr's mate and accepts her into pack leadership. This is a mistake, Saskia said. When it comes back to haunt us, remember I warned you. Her footsteps retreated, followed by others, but enough remained that Kira sensed she'd won. Barely. Can you walk? Zephyr murmured against her ear. I don't think so, Kira admitted. Without warning, she felt herself lifted, cradled against a broad chest radiating warmth. Zephyr's arms wrapped around her. I've got you, he said, carrying her toward the door. You're safe now. But as they left the council chamber behind, Kira heard Saskia's voice. Safe? She's tied herself to the most dangerous position in the pack. She'll never be safe again. And deep down, Kira knew the beta was right. Zephyr carried Kira through the pack compound as if she weighed nothing. Pack members stopped to stare, whispers following. Is that the one who saved the Alpha? They say she's a witch. Kira pressed her face against Zephyr's chest, too exhausted to care. Through their connection, she felt his anger at the muttering, but also his pride in her. Where are we going? She asked as scents changed. Less stone, more wood and earth. My quarters. You need proper rest, and your cottage isn't secure enough. People will talk. Let them. His arms tightened. You're my mate. You belong in the Alpha's residence. They climbed many stairs, then Zephyr shouldered through a heavy door. The space beyond felt vast, the air carrying scents of pine, leather, and something distinctly male. He lowered her onto what felt like an enormous bed. Furs, wolf pelts, covered the bedding. Kira's fingers instinctively traced their patterns. "Sleep," Zephyr commanded gently. "I'll stand watch." "You need rest too," Kira protested, even as her eyes grew heavy. "I'm fine. Your healing was thorough." He paused. "Too thorough. You gave more energy than you should have." Kira wanted to respond, but exhaustion pulled her under. Her last conscious thought was of Zephyr's hand gently brushing hair from her face. She woke hours later, her internal clock suggesting late afternoon. The bed beside her was cold, though Zephyr's scent lingered. Voices drifted from beyond the bedroom. Low, tense, arguing. "Absolutely reckless," Saskia was saying, "bringing her here, claiming her publicly. You've made her a target." "She was already a target the moment she saved my life." Zephyr's voice held steel. "At least here, I can protect her." "Can you?" A third voice. "Kane. The attack that poisoned you was carefully planned. Whoever orchestrated it knew exactly where you'd be, exactly when. That suggests we have a traitor." Kira's breath caught. "A traitor? You think someone fed information to our enemies?" Zephyr asked. "How else do you explain it?" Kane replied. "And now you've bonded with an Omega whose abilities we don't understand. What do we really know about Kira?" "I know she saved my life when she could have let me die." Zephyr's voice dropped dangerously. "I know the mate bond doesn't lie, and I know my wolf recognized her on a level that transcends logic." "That Omega has power she barely understands," Saskia said, her tone protective rather than hostile. "Which makes her vulnerable to those who would exploit it. I'm not questioning her loyalty. I'm questioning whether we can keep her safe from those who will target her for what she is." A pause. Then Zephyr spoke, his voice cold. "Then we make sure no one gets close enough to try. Double the guard rotations. I want eyes on every entry point." "Already done," Saskia said. "But you need to be smart about this. The bond is strong, but don't let it blind you to real threats." "Noted. Now leave us." Footsteps retreated. A door closed. Then silence. Kira lay still, processing what she'd overheard. A traitor in the pack. Saskia's concern was protective now, not antagonistic, and Zephyr, defending her against even reasonable caution. The bedroom door opened. Zephyr's footsteps approached. "I know you're awake," he said softly. Your breathing changed when they started arguing. Kira sat up slowly. "They don't trust me." "Saskia doesn't trust anyone, but she's accepted you. Her concerns now are about your safety, not your loyalty." He sat on the bed's edge. "But her doubts about external threats are valid. You proved yourself today." "Did I? Or did I just prove I'm powerful enough to be a target?" Kira pulled her knees to her chest. "What if there really is witch magic in my blood?" "Then we'll figure it out. Together." His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. "You're not alone anymore, Kira." The simple statement cracked something open in her chest. She'd been alone for so long, since her mother's death, really. Isolated by her blindness, by her strangeness. "Why do you believe in me so completely?" she whispered. "You barely know me." "The bond," he began. "Is that all this is? Just biology forcing us together?" "No." Zephyr's other hand cupped her cheek, tilting her face toward his. "The bond is real, but it's not compulsion. It's recognition. My wolf knew you, Kira. Not just as mate, but as equal. As someone strong enough to stand beside me." Kira's throat tightened. "I'm not strong. I'm a blind Omega terrified of her own abilities." "You faced down the council. Healed 5 warriors while exhausted. Stood up to Saskia. His thumb traced her lower lip. "You're stronger than you know." The gesture sent heat spiraling through Kira's body. She became acutely aware of how close he was, how his breath fanned across her face. "Zephyr," she breathed, uncertain what she was asking for. His response was a low growl that vibrated through his chest. "Say it again." "What?" "My name." "Zephyr," Kira repeated, and this time she understood. Their connection thrummed between them, responding to the intimacy of names, of recognition. He leaned closer, his nose tracing along her jawline, but this time he was fully conscious, fully aware. This time it was choice. "I want to kiss you," he murmured against her throat, "but I need to know you want it too. That it's not just the bond." Kira's hands found his chest, feeling the rapid thunder of his heartbeat. Her own heart raced in response. Was it the bond? Probably. But beneath that, she felt genuine attraction. "I want," she began. A howl shattered the moment. Zephyr was on his feet instantly. Alarm call. Northern border. Another howl joined the first, then another, until the air filled with warning cries. Through their connection, Kira felt Zephyr's battle readiness surge. "Stay here," he commanded, already moving. "Lock it behind me. Don't open for anyone but me or Kane." He paused at the doorway. She couldn't see his expression, but through their connection she felt his conflict, duty warring with the need to stay. "Go," she urged. "Your pack needs you." He left like a storm, and Kira immediately moved to lock the heavy door. Then she stood listening to chaos building outside. More howls, shouting, warriors mobilizing. Minutes passed, then hours. Kira paced, tracking Zephyr through their connection. She felt his rage, his focus, his determination, but also his fear, not for himself, but for his pack, for her. Dawn was breaking when footsteps finally thundered up the stairs. Multiple sets, moving fast. "Kira!" Thalia's voice, breathless and panicked. "Open the door! Please!" Kira's hand hesitated over the lock. Zephyr had said not to open for anyone but him or Kane. "Kira, please!" Thalia pounded on the wood. "It's the Alpha. He's been hurt. They need you at the healing hall right now." Ice flooded Kira's veins. Through their connection, she reached for Zephyr and found pain, confusion, darkness. She threw open the door. Thalia grabbed her arm, pulling her into the hallway where two guards waited. "We have to hurry." The attack was worse than expected. Multiple casualties and the Alpha Dash quote. "What happened?" Kira demanded as they rushed through the compound. "Ambush. Same as before, but larger. Silver arrows, cursed blades. They were waiting for him, Kira. Someone told them exactly where he'd be." The traitor, Kira thought. They burst into the healing hall, organized chaos, wounded wolves on every surface. And in the center, on the main platform, Zephyr. Even without seeing him, Kira felt his agony through their connection. Silver poisoning again, but different. Stronger, more resistant. Designed not just to poison, but to transfer to and infect any healer who tries to save him. "Clear the way!" Thalia shouted. "The Alpha's mate is here." Healers parted. Kira climbed the platform with trembling hands. She found Zephyr's shoulder, his neck, checking his pulse. Weak, irregular, but there. His hand suddenly gripped her wrist, not gently, but with desperate strength. His voice, when he spoke, was barely recognizable. "Trap. It was trap. For you." "What?" "They wanted to draw you out. Use me as bait." His grip tightened. "Knew you'd come. Knew you'd try to heal me again." Horror crashed over Kira. This wasn't just an attack on the Alpha. It was an attack on her. "Don't!" Zephyr gasped. Don't heal me. It's poisoned. Different than before. Meant to infect the healer too. I don't care, Kira said, her hands already glowing. I'm not letting you die. Kira, no. But she'd already touched the wound, already sent her power diving deep. And the moment she did, she felt it. The trap. This silver wasn't just poisoning him. It was alive, sentient, waiting. And now it had a new host. Pain exploded through Kira's body as corrupted silver leaped from Zephyr into her, wrapping around her life force like strangling vines. She gasped, trying to pull back, but it was too late. The trap had sprung, and she was caught. Kira had thought she understood pain. She'd been wrong. This was agony on a different level. Liquid fire coursing through her veins, burning everything from the inside out. She tried to scream, but her throat locked tight. Through the crimson haze, she heard Zephyr roaring. Felt him trying to pull her away, but the silver held them locked together, feeding on the healing energy she'd poured into him. Stop fighting it, someone shouted. You're making it worse. But Kira couldn't stop. Her power flowed automatically, trying to heal even as the corruption spread. Like trying to fill a cup with a hole in the bottom, everything she gave was consumed, transformed into more poison. Cut the connection. Use iron. That could kill them both. Kira felt cold metal pressed against her wrist. Iron, meant to sever magical connections. But the moment it touched her skin, the silver reacted violently, surging through her system. She finally screamed. The sound that emerged wasn't entirely human. Wasn't entirely wolf either. It was something primal that made every wolf in the healing hall whimper. Then consciousness fled. When Kira woke, she wasn't in the healing hall. She lay on soft grass, dew-damp and smelling of night. Above her, wind through leaves and moonlight. Somehow, impossibly, she felt moonlight, bathing her skin. Where? She tried to speak, but her voice came out wrong. Easy, little healer. A woman's voice, ancient and knowing. You're safe. For now. Kira sat up slowly, her hands pressing into earth that felt realer than real. Am I dead? Not yet. Hands helped her to her feet. Though you came close. That silver was designed specifically to kill someone like you. Who are you? An echo, the woman said. A memory from your mother's bloodline, surfacing in your moment of greatest need. I am what remains of your ancestors' knowledge, stored in the magic you carry. Kira's heart hammered. My mother wasn't your mother by blood. Your true mother was a witch of considerable power who fell in love with a wolf and paid the price. She died bringing you into this world, and her dying wish was that you be raised among wolves, never knowing what you truly were. The world tilted. I'm a witch? Half witch, half wolf. An impossibility that shouldn't exist. Yet here you stand. The woman's hand cupped Kira's cheek. Your magic isn't wolf healing, child, it's witch healing, filtered through wolf instincts. That's why it's so powerful. But witches and wolves are enemies, Kira whispered. Witch magic is different from wolf magic. Not better, not worse, just different. The woman released her. And in you, both magics exist. They should have torn you apart, but somehow you survived. Balanced them. Made them work together. Kira's mind reeled. Why are you telling me this? Because the silver poison currently killing you can only be purged by accepting what you are. The wolf in you fights the witch magic, thinking it's an invasion. The witch in you fights the wolf, thinking it's a prison. Together, they're destroying you. How do I stop it? By choosing. The woman's voice grew stern. You must choose one nature to dominate, or learn to fully merge both. But you cannot continue suppressing half of yourself. And if I choose wrong, then you die. And your mate dies with you. Because the bond you've formed means your life is linked to his. Horror crashed over Kira. No, I won't let him die because of me. Then make your choice, little healer. Witch or wolf? Or something new entirely? Something the world has never seen? Before Kira could answer, the vision shattered. She woke screaming in a bed that wasn't Zephyr's. Pain radiated from every cell. When she tried to move, her muscles refused. She's awake. Thalia's voice, thick with tears. Someone get the alpha. Footsteps thundered. Then Zephyr's presence filled the space, his hands finding hers desperately. Kira. His voice cracked. Thank the gods. You've been unconscious for 2 days. The poison, Kira gasped. Still in me. I know. Every healer has tried to extract it, but it's bonded to your life force. And when you try to heal yourself, it feeds on your magic. His grip tightened. I did this to you. No. Kira forced the word out. Was a trap. For me. You tried to warn me. I should have refused your healing. Should have let it kill me rather than risk you. Through their connection, Kira felt his guilt, his self-loathing, his desperate wish that he could take the poison back. Kira. A new voice. Older. Female. I'm Elder Moira. The pack's oldest healer. I've been studying your condition, and I have a theory. Tell me, Kira managed. The silver isn't just poisoning you. It's reacting to something in your blood. Something that isn't quite wolf. A pause. I've seen similar reactions once before, when a witch tried to pass herself off as pack. The silver recognized the foreign magic. The room went silent. You're saying Kira is a witch? Saskia's voice, sharp. Half-witch, Moira corrected. Born of a union that should have been impossible, and the silver poison was specifically designed to target such hybrid magic. Someone knew, Kane said slowly. Someone knew what she was before we did. The traitor, Zephyr growled. The same one who arranged my poisoning. Which means they know more about Kira than she knows about herself, Moira said. And that makes them very dangerous. Kira felt consciousness slipping again, the poison dragging her under. But before the darkness claimed her, she heard Zephyr's voice, fierce and absolute. I don't care what she is. Witch, wolf, or both. She's mine, and I will burn down anyone who tries to take her from me. The words followed her into the dark, a lifeline to hold on to. 3 days. That's how long Kira had been dying. The poison had spread from her blood into her very bones, turning her veins silver black beneath her skin. Every breath was labor, every heartbeat, agony. The healers kept her sedated most of the time, because when she was conscious, her screams were terrible. Zephyr never left her side. He sat beside her bed, his hand wrapped around hers, feeling her pulse grow weaker with each passing hour. Pack business went unattended. His only focus was the dying woman before him and the bond that grew more painful as it tried desperately to keep them both alive. You need to rest, Kane urged for the 12th time. I'm no good to her anyway, Zephyr replied, his voice scraped raw. This is my fault. She's dying because someone set a trap, Kane corrected. They'd questioned everyone who'd had access to information, but the traitor remained hidden. The blood moon rises tonight, Moira said quietly, entering the sick room. It's her last chance. The ritual, Zephyr remembered. A dangerous one. Moira approached the bed, studying Kira's motionless form. The blood moon amplifies all magic, wolf and witch alike. If we perform the binding ceremony under its light, Kira's two natures might synchronize instead of fighting. The poison could be expelled naturally. Might? Zephyr latched onto the word. What are the chances? Moira's silence was answer enough. Tell me, Zephyr demanded. 1 in 10, the elder healer admitted. The ritual requires her to fully embrace both halves of her nature simultaneously. To be witch and wolf at the same moment, with no suppression, no fear, no resistance. Most hybrid children die attempting it. And if she doesn't try? She dies by morning. The poison has reached her heart. Zephyr looked down at Kira's face, peaceful only because of sedatives. Through their connection, he could feel her slipping away, bit by bit. Do it, he said. Prepare the ritual. You should know, Moira added carefully, that the ritual requires an anchor. Someone bonded to her who can hold her spirit to this world when the transformation tries to tear her apart. It will be painful for you both. I don't care. Zephyr's grip tightened. Whatever she needs, I'll give it. They carried Kira to the sacred grove as the sun set. The blood moon was already rising, massive and red on the horizon, casting everything in crimson shades. The pack gathered in a circle, those loyal to their alpha, those who'd come to care for the strange blind Omega. Thalia stood at the front, her face streaked with tears. Even Saskia had come. They laid Kira on a flat stone altar, arranging her arms at her sides. Someone had dressed her in white, a ceremonial gown. The ritual requires white, Moira said gently, to symbolize rebirth. Now, Alpha, you must take your place. Zephyr climbed onto the altar beside Kira, following Moira's instructions to sit with her head resting in his lap. His hands settled on her face. What do I do? He asked. When the moon reaches its zenith, I'll wake her and begin the incantation. The transformation will start immediately. Your job is to keep her grounded, keep her spirit from fleeing when the pain becomes too much. Hold her through your bond. Don't let go. I won't, Zephyr promised. The blood moon climbed higher. Moira began to chant in a language older than wolves, older than witches. Power gathered like a storm. At moonrise, Moira pressed bitter liquid to Kira's lips. Drink, child. And wake. Kira's eyes fluttered open, sightless but aware, and focused unerringly on Zephyr's face. Zephyr? Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm here, he said, leaning down to press his forehead to hers. I've got you. Whatever happens, I've got you. The ritual, Kira breathed. 1 in 10. I heard. Those are good odds, Zephyr lied. Kira's lips curved in a sad smile. You're a terrible liar. Her hand lifted weakly to touch his cheek. If I don't make it, you will. Tell Thalia thank you for being my friend. Kira's breathing hitched. And tell yourself this wasn't your fault. Kira, I love you. The words tumbled out in a rush. I know it's fast. I know it's probably just the bond. But I needed to say it. Once. In case I don't get another chance. Zephyr's throat closed. It's not just the bond, he managed. And you're going to have 1,000 chances to tell me again. Moira's chanting reached a crescendo. The blood moon peaked directly overhead. And the transformation began. Kira's back arched off the altar with a scream that split the night. Silver-black veins erupted across her skin like lightning, spreading from her heart outward. Her body convulsed, bones cracking and reforming. Zephyr held her through it, his own body shaking with the force of her pain transmitted through their bond. He felt everything she felt, the poison fighting to keep its hold, her wolf nature trying to expel the foreign magic, her witch nature trying to claim dominance. All three forces warring, tearing her apart. Hold on, Zephyr begged, his tears falling onto her face. Please, Kira. Hold on. Her screams turned to howls, wolf sounds from a human throat. Then to words in that ancient language, witch magic spilling from her lips. Her body couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Through their connection, Zephyr felt her spirit starting to fracture. The pain was too much. She was giving up, letting go. No! Zephyr roared, pouring everything he had through their bond, his strength, his will, his fierce determination. You don't get to quit, Kira. You promised you'd tell me you loved me 1,000 more times, and I'm holding you to that. Something shifted. In the space where their spirits touched, Kira's presence flickered, not fading, transforming. The warring magics within her suddenly stopped fighting each other and turned outward, united against a common enemy: the poison. Kira's body went rigid. Silver-black corruption poured from her mouth, her nose, even her eyes, purging from her system like venom extracted from a wound. The pack gasped as the tainted magic pooled on the altar stone, hissing and smoking. Then, in a burst of white light that rivaled the blood moon itself, the poison combusted. Burned away by the combined force of witch and wolf magic working in perfect harmony. When the light faded, Kira lay still. Too still. No, Zephyr whispered, his hands frantically checking for a pulse. No, you did it. You survived. Don't you dare. Kira's eyes snapped open, but they weren't the clouded white of her blindness anymore. They glowed, one silver like moonlight, one gold like sun. Wolf and witch, merged into something entirely new. Zephyr, she breathed, and her voice carried harmonics that hadn't been there before. Multiple tones layered over each other. Then she smiled. I can see you, she whispered in wonder. The world was overwhelming. Colors, shapes, distances all flooding her senses at once. But somehow, instinctively, her new hybrid nature helped her brain process it all. I can actually see you. The pack erupted in cheers, but Zephyr heard none of it. He was too busy crushing Kira against his chest, feeling her heartbeat strong and steady, feeling the bond between them blazing with renewed life. Don't ever scare me like that again, he commanded against her hair. Can't promise that, Kira said, her arms wrapping around his waist. Being your mate seems dangerous. You love it. Maybe. She pulled back enough to look up at his face. Really look, with eyes that could finally see. Oh, she breathed. You're beautiful. Zephyr laughed. I'm a scarred warrior with a broken nose. You're beautiful, Kira insisted. And mine. Yours, he agreed, claiming her mouth in a kiss that sealed the promise. The blood moon watched over them, and the pack celebrated. No one noticed the figure watching from the tree line, a shadow with eyes that glinted with malice. The traitor remained. And next time, they wouldn't miss. Kira woke in Zephyr's bed the morning after the blood moon ritual, but everything was different now. She could see. The room resolved itself in perfect clarity, high ceilings with exposed beams, walls covered in weapons and maps, furs piled on the massive bed. And beside her, one arm thrown possessively across her waist even in sleep, was Zephyr. She'd felt his presence through the bond for days, but seeing him was something else entirely. Strong features marked with old scars, dark hair that fell across his forehead, and even in rest, that aura of command. As if sensing her scrutiny, his eyes opened, pale gray like storm clouds, and focused immediately on her face. You're awake, he said, voice still rough with sleep. How do you feel? Different. Kira lifted her hand, marveling at how she could see her own fingers. Stronger. Like something that was broken inside me finally healed. Your magic. Both of them. They're not fighting anymore. They're dancing, maybe. Moving together instead of against each other. Zephyr sat up, pulling her with him so she was nestled against his chest. Through the bond, she felt his relief, his joy, and underneath, his fierce possessiveness. "We need to talk about what comes next," he said. "The traitor," Kira replied. "Someone set that trap specifically for me, someone who knew what I was before I did." "Which means someone with knowledge of old magic and access to pack information." Zephyr's arms tightened. "We've narrowed it down." Before he could elaborate, shouting erupted from somewhere in the compound. Zephyr was on his feet instantly, pulling on clothes. "Stay here," he commanded. "Not a chance." Kira climbed out of bed, pleased to find her new strength meant her legs didn't wobble. "If this is about the traitor, I have a right to face them." Zephyr looked like he wanted to argue, but the bond carried her determination clearly. He simply nodded. "Stay behind me." They rushed through the compound toward the commotion, pack members running in the same direction, all converging on the council chamber. Inside, they found chaos. Cain stood in the center, his sword at the throat of another wolf. A wolf Kira had seen before, a scout named Rhett, average in every way except the terror currently etched across his face. "What's happening?" Zephyr demanded. "Found him trying to leave the territory," Cain reported. "With these." He kicked a bag at Zephyr's feet. Silver vials spilled out, each filled with the same corrupted poison. "It was him," Saskia said, entering with several guards. "Rhett has been the traitor. We found correspondence in his quarters, letters to the Shadowfang pack detailing our patrol routes, our weaknesses, and information about the Alpha's new mate with unusual abilities." Kira felt ice settle in her stomach. "How long?" she asked quietly. "How long have you been selling information?" Rhett's eyes darted to her. 2 years, he admitted, since they promised me beta rank once the Iron Ridge fell. "Why?" Zephyr's voice was eerily calm, which somehow made it more terrifying. "You did nothing," Rhett spat. "That's the point. I've served this pack for 20 years. And what did I get? Nothing. Passed over for promotion, treated like another faceless grunt." "So you decided to destroy everything?" Cain's grip tightened. "I decided to back the winning side," Rhett corrected. "Shadowfang are stronger. They were going to take the Iron Ridge territory eventually." "And me?" Kira asked. "Why target me specifically?" Rhett's laugh was bitter. "Because Shadowfang's witch ally sensed you the moment you used your power. Morgana told us you were a half-breed abomination, dangerous to both wolves and witches. Said if we eliminated you, we'd be doing the world a favor. She's the one who designed both poisons, the first to weaken the Alpha, the second to trap and kill you." "A witch named Morgana," Moira said, having entered quietly. "That explains how they knew about the hybrid magic. She must have sensed Kira from a distance, then told Rhett everything she learned through her magical observation." Kira stepped forward. "You poisoned him twice," she said to Rhett, "knowing it might kill him, knowing it would kill me." "Nothing personal," Rhett shrugged. "Just business." "Just business?" Zephyr's control snapped. He lunged forward, but Kira caught his arm. "Don't," she said quietly. "He's not worth it." "She's right," Saskia interjected. "Let the council handle his punishment. Death is too quick for betrayal of this magnitude." Rhett paled at the implication. "Take him away," Zephyr ordered, his voice cold as winter. "And double patrols on all borders. If Shadowfang has been receiving our intelligence for 2 years, they know too much. We need to assume an attack is imminent." Guards dragged Rhett from the chamber. As they passed Kira, he spat at her feet. "You think you've won, abomination? Morgana is still out there. She'll finish what we started." Cain's fist cut off the rest. Rhett crumpled, and the guards hauled his unconscious body away. In the silence that followed, Kira felt the weight of dozens of eyes. The pack had heard everything, heard her called abomination, heard about the witch who wanted her dead, heard confirmation that she was indeed half-witch. "So," Saskia said into the quiet, "it's true. You're a hybrid." "Yes," Kira said, lifting her chin. "No more hiding. Half wolf, half witch. I didn't know until recently, but yes." "And the witch helping Shadowfang wants you dead because of it?" "Apparently." Saskia studied her for a long moment. Then, to everyone's shock, she inclined her head in a small bow. "Then she's an idiot. Any wolf who can survive what you survived, who can merge two opposing magics into one, who can stand here after being poisoned, betrayed, and nearly killed. That's not an abomination. That's a threat to our enemies." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathered wolves. "You saved our alpha. Twice," Cain added. "Proved yourself in the council trials. Survived a ritual that kills 9 out of 10 who attempt it. As far as I'm concerned, you've earned your place." One by one, the pack members nodded their acceptance. "Thank you," Kira said, her throat tight. For the first time since her mother's death, she felt like she belonged. Zephyr's hand found hers, squeezing gently. Through the bond, she felt his pride. "Now comes the hard part," Moira said. "We know Shadowfang has been planning an attack. And we know there's a witch allied with them who specifically wants Kira dead. We need to prepare for both threats." "How long do we have?" Zephyr asked. "Based on Rhett's correspondence?" Saskia consulted a paper. "They're planning to strike during the next new moon, when our night vision is weakest." "That's 4 days," Cain calculated. 4 days to prepare our defenses, train our warriors, and figure out how to counter a witch's magic," Zephyr summarized. He looked at Kira. "Think you can help with that last part?" Kira felt her new magic stirring, wolf and witch intertwined, stronger together. "I think I can do more than that," she said. "I think I can make sure Shadowfang regrets ever targeting this pack." The next 3 days passed in a blur. Kira worked with Moira to create protective wards around the territory. Witch magic that would alert them to intruders. She trained with Zephyr and the warriors. Her vision, overwhelming at first, quickly adapted. Within a day, her hybrid sight proved sharper than normal wolf vision, able to see magical auras and detect threats before they materialized. But the nights were hers, and Zephyr's alone. On the 3rd night before the new moon, as they lay tangled together in his bed, Zephyr finally spoke the words he'd been holding back. "I love you," he said, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "Not because of the bond. Not because you saved my life, but because you're brave and stubborn and refuse to quit. Because you see the best in people despite how they've treated you. Because when you smile, it feels like the sun coming out." Kira's hybrid gaze filled with tears. "I love you too," she whispered. "You made me feel like I mattered. Like being different wasn't something to hide, but something to celebrate." He kissed her then, deep and claiming, and through the bond, their spirits merged as completely as their bodies. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Kira said, "Whatever happens tomorrow, we survive," Zephyr interrupted firmly. "Together. You and me against the world." "You and me," Kira agreed. The new moon rose on a battlefield. Shadowfang attacked at midnight, exactly as predicted. But they hadn't anticipated the wards Kira had set, the preparations the pack had made. What should have been a surprise assault turned into coordinated defense. Kira stood at the heart of it, her magic blazing white and silver, witch and wolf combined. She healed warriors as they fell, sent bursts of pure energy at attacking enemies, and maintained protective barriers. Zephyr fought at her side, his sword flashing in the darkness. Through the bond, they moved as one. He protected her back. She ensured he didn't fall. Then the witch appeared. A section of Kira's ward suddenly shattered. broken from within by someone who knew their structure. Rhett had told Morgana about the ward placement before his capture. She materialized from shadows, tall and cruel, her eyes fixed on Kira with murderous intent. Dark robes swirled around her like living darkness. "There you are, little hybrid," the witch said, her voice like honey over poison. "I am Morgana, and I've been waiting for this moment. Time to correct a mistake that should never have been born." "You're the one who helped Rhett," Kira realized. "You're the witch who created the poison." "I am the witch who will cleanse this world of your abomination," Morgana corrected. "Hybrids are an insult to both our species. Your very existence is a perversion of natural law. I have studied the old magics for decades, learned to sense those who carry mixed blood across great distances. I felt you the moment you used your power, and I knew you had to be eliminated." "But I didn't die," Kira said, her own power rising to meet the witch's. "And I'm not going to die today either." "Such confidence from a mongrel who's known her true nature for mere days," Morgana sneered. "You think you can stand against me?" "I don't think," Kira said, her hybrid magic flaring bright. "I know." They clashed in an explosion of power, dark witchcraft against hybrid light. The battle raged around them, but in that moment there was only Kira and her enemy. Morgana was older, more experienced, her spells crafted from years of practice. She threw curse after curse, each designed to exploit the perceived weakness of Kira's dual nature. But Kira had something Morgana didn't: the combined strength of two magics working in perfect harmony. Where Morgana had to choose between destructive spells or defensive wards, Kira could do both simultaneously. Wolf magic enhanced her reflexes. Witch magic gave her the power to counter-strike with devastating force. And the bond connected her to Zephyr, to the pack, giving her a well of strength that the solitary witch couldn't match. "You fight like a child!" Morgana shrieked, her composure cracking. "I have trained for this my entire life." "And I was born for this," Kira said, feeling the truth of it. "You chose your path." "I am my path." As if summoned by her words, Zephyr appeared at her side. Then Cain. Then Saskia. Then more warriors, and behind them Thalia stood with the pack. One by one they gathered around their hybrid alpha mate, lending their strength through loyalty and bond. "No!" Morgana screamed. "You cannot! This is not—" But her protests were drowned by the howl of the pack, dozens of voices raised in unison, channeling their collective strength through their bond to Kira. Kira's hybrid power, amplified by pack bonds, swelled to impossible heights. She felt every wolf, every heartbeat, every breath, all of them united, protect the pack. She released that combined power in a single devastating strike. The blast of white-silver light caught Morgana square in the chest, slamming her into a tree with bone-shattering force. The witch's dark magic shattered like glass. Morgana crumpled to the ground, her robe smoking, her breath ragged. "Impossible," she wheezed. "You're just a half-breed." "I'm a wolf," Kira said, walking toward her fallen enemy, "and a witch. And something entirely new. But most importantly, I'm not alone." Morgana's eyes widened in terror as Kira's shadow fell over her. "Please, mercy." "You showed no mercy when you tried to kill my mate," Kira said quietly. "Why should I show you any?" "Kira." Zephyr's hand on her shoulder, his voice gentle despite the carnage. "She's defeated. It's over." Kira looked down at the broken witch, feeling the rage in her heart warring with her healer's instincts. Finally, she stepped back. "You're right," she said. "It's over." Morgana sagged with relief. "Premature." "Saskia," Kira said, "the council will want to question her. About Shadowfang's plans, about any other traitors, about everything. Saskia's smile was predatory. It would be my pleasure. As guards dragged the witch away, her screams fading, Kira surveyed the battlefield. Around them, the last of the Shadowfang warriors were fleeing into the forest, their witch ally defeated and their coordinated attack broken. The Iron Ridge pack had won. But the cost had been high. Wounded wolves lay scattered, healers already moving among them. Kira joined them immediately, her hybrid magic flowing as she moved from warrior to warrior. Hours passed before the last wound was tended. Dawn was breaking by the time Kira finally stopped, swaying with exhaustion. Zephyr caught her before she fell. "It's over," he said, holding her close. "You did it. You saved us all." Kira leaned into his embrace, feeling the bond between them pulse with satisfaction and love. Around them, the pack began to howl, not in alarm, but in victory. In celebration. In acceptance of their hybrid alpha mate who had proven herself in the only way that truly mattered. Through fire and blood and magic, she had protected the pack. She was home. 6 months later, Kira stood in the sacred grove where she'd nearly died, but this time she wore ceremonial robes, not just as pack healer, but as the alpha's mate and the pack's protector. Zephyr stood beside her, his hand in hers, as they renewed their mate bonds before the assembled pack. No longer a desperate connection forged in crisis, but a choice made freely. "You are mine," Zephyr said. "And you are mine," Kira responded, her hybrid eyes glowing in the sunlight. When they kissed, the pack celebrated. A hybrid who proved that different didn't mean dangerous, that power could come from unexpected places, that sometimes the greatest strength came from combining things that were never supposed to exist together. Kira had spent her life being told she was less. Now she knew the truth. She had always been exactly enough. She had always been exactly where she belonged. Home. Thank you for listening to this tale of the blind Omega who saved her alpha and found her true self. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, may you find the strength to embrace what makes you different.